Hi there. These comments are for why, so let's take a look at the email that you sent me. You say, Michael, please listen to, evaluate, and score my speaking practice test. Let me know which areas I need to improve in order to score higher on the TOEFL speaking section. Okay. And I am the founder, owner, and the materials writer of the online TOEFL course, the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. You're looking at my online TOEFL course right now, and here's the speaking section. I have over 300 independent speaking prompts, and you're doing the free TOEFL speaking practice test evaluation that I'm offering. So what I want to do here is I want you to find out, I'm going to let you know what your level is from 0 to 30 points right now. Okay, now if I remember correctly, you're answering the question, which one is it here? What is better when preparing for an exam, studying alone or studying with a group? Okay, now the key here is I'm going to listen to your response one time without making any comments at all. Then the second time I listen to it, I'll actually make some comments.
I believe that group studying is a better option as compared to individual studies for some specific reasons. First, group studies helps you to get better insight on the subjects and the topics that are needed to be studied for the exam. For example, I am an engineering student from India. During my graduate studies, me and my friends used to study together. We used to distribute topics to each of them, and then later on we used to explain them to others. We used to understand the subject and the topics more effectively and efficiently. The second reason why I believe that group studies is better option is because it is quite more fun. During my graduate studies, when me and my friends used to study together, along with the group studies, we used to talk a lot about other topics too. It was quite refreshing from the monotonous and the continuous studying for the examinations. These are the reasons because of which I feel that group studying is a better option. I believe that group studying is a better option as compared.
Okay, good. Thank you for doing that. Now, what I want to do now is let's take a look at the speaking here. Okay, wait a minute. This is integrated speaking rubrics. Let me go back. Let me go to the independent speaking rubrics. Now, what you want to do is, I recommend that you take some notes here because I'm going to be saying a lot of information here, and you want to make sure that you get this down in note form. Okay, so my first impression, I'm going to put you maybe 2.6 to 2.8, maybe 20 to 22 points out of 30. Probably you would not score 3 on this one. For delivery, I think you need to work on your long vowel sounds. You might want to Google that. What are the long vowel sounds in English? Those are some sounds that you need to actually work on. Also, the T and the D alveolar consonant sounds.
You can download and install the app via Samsung app.
You definitely need to work on that too. So those are some of my comments right now. Okay, let's listen to it one more time and let's see. I'll make some more comments as we go.
I believe that group studying is a better option as compared to individual studies for some specific reasons.
Now, instead of saying some specific reasons, I would state specifically what your 2 support points are in the introduction. A lot of students, they begin this independent task exactly the same way that you are, so you're not really showing original type language. It almost sounds like you have a template that maybe you've memorized, and then you try to use this outline as you answer these topics, and that's not a good idea. The TOEFL IBT human rater is not going to like it.
Group studies helps you to get better insight on the subject.
Okay, here's your language use issue. It helps you know. The purpose here is to frame the information from the first and the third person point of view. Here's your tip of the day. There's no need to use the you point of view in any independent speaking or writing task and you certainly don't need it during the integrated speaking and integrated writing tasks. So you need to remove the you point of view from your speaking
and the topics
responses.
that are needed.
Notice topics. You're not pronouncing that T with enough air. Topics. We have the T, tip, then we have dip, the D. Tip, dip. You want to make sure you're pronouncing those two sounds separately
To be
and
studied
distinctly.
for the exam. For example, I am an engineering student from India. During my graduate studies,
This is good. Now you're making it more personal. This is what you want to do. You give an example from your personal experience to help support the argument you're trying to make. If you can't think of one, then you create one. You make one up. But you want to make it relate to your
me and my
personal
friends used to
experience.
study together.
It's not me and my friends. It's my friends and I used to study together. I know in spoken language, I say the same thing that you did. But for TOEFL, you want to show that you have good control over your language use. That means you know when to use object pronouns, when to use subject pronouns. In this case, you need
We used
subject
to
pronouns.
distribute topics to each of them, and then later on we used to explain them to others. This way, we used to understand the
Now, what topics you're talking about? You might, well, for example, when we were trying to learn more about the causes of the Civil War in the United States, we began explaining these causes to each other so that we became more and more familiar with why the United States had a Civil War. So if you can be a little more specific in the examples you're using, you can talk about something from a biology class or from a pharmacy class or history or whatever, and that helps make the example more personal, thereby strengthening the argument
subject
that you're
and the
trying to make.
topics more effectively and efficiently. The second reason why I believe that group
It's more
study
effectively and more efficiently. E. Again, that's a
is
long
better
vowel
option
sound.
is because it is quite more fun.
It is, I would just say, because it is more fun, not quite more fun. So I wouldn't use it like that. That's a little unusual, unnatural sounding. So you could get docked a little bit lower on that. You want to try to have idiomatic use of the language, which means you're using the vocabulary and the words that you're using are similar to how a native speaker would use those words in that
During my
context.
graduate studies, when me and my friends used to study together, along
My
with the
friends
group
and all,
studies, we used to talk a lot about other topics too. It was quite refreshing.
we used to talk about a lot of other topics too. Ooh. Again, the long vowel sounds you
From
want to
the
work.
monotonous and the continuous studying for the examinations. These are the reasons because of which I feel that group studying is a better option.
Because of, these are the reasons, let's go back.
Examinations. These are the reasons because of which I feel
These are the reasons. I would just say
that group studying
why
is a better option.
I feel group study is a better option. So because of which, that's not working very well with your language use there. So that's a pretty big problem. I would just say these are the reasons why group study is a more valuable form of study for me. So the word why is going to work better there, not because of
I
which.
believe
Okay, so again, I think my scores actually were pretty accurate. My first impression is usually the best. I'm putting you between 20 and 22 points is your level right now with speaking. You definitely have delivery issues you need to solve. You have language issues. Sometimes you have problems with word choice or choosing the right connector. Topic development. You need a more sharply focused introduction, a topic statement, which includes the 2 points around which you want to frame the body of your response. You need to be a little more personal in the details you're using. And remember, and this is also a delivery comment, avoid the you or second person point of view at all costs. All right. So thank you very much for completing this free speaking practice test evaluation. You can only do this one time and you just did it. So now you know your level. Now, if you're interested, I do have a TOEFL speaking boot camp course. I highly recommend this course if you have already met your subtotals in the reading, listening, and writing sections. I will include a link to my TOEFL Speaking Bootcamp course in the email I'm sending you right now. All right, and thank you for doing this practice test.